Hello everyone, and welcome to Video Game Chew. I'm John.
Chew.
I'm here.
The chews are getting shorter and shorter together.
Yeah, it's just the VGCC. There you go.
Yeah.
That's like our startup. If we were a Silicon Valley startup, it'd be like VGCC.
Vigoo choo. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You have to assume what the everything stands for.
Mm-hmm.
If you know, you know. Wink. One of those kinds of things.
Yeah. So it's me, John. Hi. I'm here. Solon is also here. Solon is the one who was talking there too.
Yeah,
Right
I'm
there.
here too. I can be here. They let me back in. It's 2023, baby. It's a new
That's
year.
right.
I'm gonna be back on the podcast again. I'm no longer grounded from podcasting.
I mean, we never stopped you.
No, my mom did.
Busy.
I got in trouble. She said I'm not allowed to podcast with the gang until 2023. I said a swear.
Oh my goodness, Solon.
I know.
You? Oh my. It's okay.
Thank you.
You're forgiven. You're on the podcast again, and Maverick is also on the podcast again. Maverick, hello.
Time served.
That I am. Just kicking it.
Kicking it.
Mav, when's the last time you got grounded?
Oh, a while ago.
It's been a little while. Wow, you're such a good kid.
I try.
Folks, video games continue to happen kinda over the break. Not like super a lot. Like, I don't know. We like kind of did like our news roundup this week, and it wasn't really anything too crazy because we tried to catch up with all the stuff that we missed, and it was just like, yeah, no, there's nothing really crazy happened.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff came out at the beginning of December, and then over the holidays chilled.
I mean, yeah, that's, I guess, what's supposed to happen, so...
Yeah, there was no, sudden surprises. Everything went according to plan.
Yeah, we took some time off. It was just like, oh man, what if something crazy happens? We're not going to... Oh, nope, nothing happened. All right, good. So there was some news, though.
Chilled out. Yeah, it chilled out for 2 weeks, and so we've only got a nice little chunk of news.
Yeah, there's stuff that did happen. But it wasn't anything like, oh my god, we have to freak out about this. This is huge. This is revelation. Oh my god. No. Some good stuff happened, some bad stuff happened. As per usual. But how was everybody's holiday? Let's touch on that. Maverick, yeah, let's hear about you. What went down over in up in the big city, or I guess you went somewhere else. You weren't in New York.
Oh no, I was just back home for it. So nothing nothing too out of the ordinary.
Okay. Now, how was it? Did you get up to anything, or was it just chill?
Nah, overall just super chill. Which, good. The night of, I was kind of like, man, I wish I was out, because I was helping Scott, who was in the city at the time, sort of convene with other stuff that was going on, and it was just man, I wish I was there to go along with it. But ultimately, I'm just glad that I had a lot of time to just not worry about just a bunch of stuff going on. I was able to just chill overall, and I greatly appreciated that.
That's good. It's good. I'm glad you got to relax a bit. We could talk about the games that you got up to while you're on break in a moment. Gaming occurred. Solon, how about you? What happened during your holiday? What was up?
Oh man, I had a wonderful New Year's party that we played Crisis Core all through New Year's, and then at the end of New Year's Eve, the Space Needle blew up. We blew it all up. Uh-huh. It was incredible. They put on a fireworks show every year for the off of the Space Needle, where they just launch stuff off of it. And they've done a lot more digital stuff and drone display type stuff around the Space Needle, because it's Seattle. That's kind of what happens around here all the time. But for some reason, I don't know how or why, this time there was so little weather, so few elements to kind of mess with anything, that when they blew up all these fireworks, it just created a huge smoke shield around the Space Needle, and you couldn't see anything. It was incredible.
That's pretty good.
It just looked like it was continually blowing up over and over, and you couldn't tell what was happening. So that was my New Year's.
All right. Yeah, I went and hung out with some family for Christmas, but then New Year's I was working. Because, if you're working at an arcade, you kind of have to have somewhere for people to go.
Yeah, how was the New Year's crowd?
It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It was pretty chill. I think last year, or I guess 2021 into 2022 was probably a little bit more hectic, but yeah, it wasn't too bad.
It's not like they were like popping champagne and around all these arcade machines or nothing.
No,
so I figure it was pretty chill.
Like we did hand out champagne, but it was we gave it in little glasses or little cups, and we were just like, just stand in the party room and drink your champagne, and then you go play more.
The quarantined party zone, like you go in here to party. If any drinks go near those machines, I'll kill you.
Well, you got to pop bottles in the party room, but you can't do it near the Bigfoot arcade or the Bigfoot pinball.
Yep.
We don't have a Bigfoot game. I think the closest thing to that is we have a Hercules pinball machine, which is fucking huge and extremely unwieldy. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, this is a cool thing to look at, but then actually playing it, you're just kind of like, oh, this is kind of miserable. Because it's so big and it takes like forever for the ball to like roll around and do anything. Like you're like, hitting it with the paddle, and then it just goes like whoa, boom, and it takes like a full like 2 seconds to go up to the bumpers, and it's just like, all right, this isn't very good.
Oh my god, this thing's huge.
Yeah, it's gigantic.
This is an Atari cabinet. Oh no.
It's very much just a gimmick where they were just like, yeah, we wanted to make the biggest pinball machine, and then didn't really think beyond that.
Yeah, this is unwieldy, but I would definitely play this. This is an attraction.
Yeah,
I'd play it for one ball, and then I would leave the other two balls. I just walk away from the machine.
I can't get over how many people do that, like on the reg. Like, I think people do think that you just have one ball, because yeah, I'll just be sitting there, like, I'll walk by machines that just are on the second ball, and I just want to, like, look around and be like, no, come back!
It's come still, back and you've got more balls! They let you have 3 of them!
They let you have 3?
The price of 1!
Buddy, I'm always about my one ball.
If I don't get it in one ball, I'm out of there.
That's what I'm saying.
But yeah, so we all did get up to some gaming over the break. Some of us, I mean, maybe not more than others, but, some of us were a bit more spread out than others, I guess. Let's see here. Solon, yeah, you talked about playing all the way through Crisis Core.
Yeah.
Yeah, how was that? That was the remake, right? Reunion. How was that?
So, do you remember much about Crisis Core? Like how it originally came out?
I mean, like, I'm aware of it, but I never played it. I did not have a PSP growing up.
No, it's a weird thing. It's a lot of people didn't really play it because it was a PSP game. I ended up emulating it because it's the PSP game, so it's the easiest thing in the world to emulate. Right. I emulated it like a year ago, and Crisis Core is awesome. It is a fantastic game. And unlike the original FF7, it's like super modern. It has a lot of it's a full 3D game. It looks really pretty. And so a remake of it is kind of weird because it's already modern. It already has all of these touches to it that were very like where PSP was looking way ahead of their time. And a lot of PSP games are like this, where they're just like, they're really fresh still. If you go back and play them, you'll go, wow, this is kind of an intense machine. And so a remake of Reunion's kind of a weird ask, because when you port it to modern consoles, almost nothing changes. This was the normal Crisis Core experience. Looks a little fresher, looks a little prettier, but you're doing all the exact same stuff just on a controller instead of on a PSP. And so there's a couple of like small, like the Final Fantasy VII remake has a lot of control stuff that is it's like super modern. It's extremely like way beyond what other games do, other action games. So Crisis Core coming back to the PSP as an action game means that you're using the face buttons for all of your inputs. And so it's not like when you're playing as Cloud in Final Fantasy VII and you are, phase switching between multiple stances and using multiple inputs to do certain command strategies. No, you have you have an X button that does an attack. You have a square button that does a magic ability. You got a triangle that does a magical ability. You got a circle that does an item. Like that's it. It is so like visually it looks modern, and then you play it and you're like, whoa, this is kind of throwback. This is retro. This has a weird kind of feel to it that reminds me of what games was like in the late 2000s, or the mid 2000s, excuse me. And so there's like this cool aspect to Crisis Core that's a little retro, a little modern, and the remake of it is good. It's good. Now, the hard part is that, is it worth like 70 freaking bucks? I mean, kinda. Crisis Core is awesome. If you've never played Crisis Core, you really should pick this up. If you have played Crisis Core, it's the same thing. It's just as dramatic. It's just as over the top. It's the story of Zack Fair is so fresh and exciting, and the other Final Fantasy VII stories are known for being bombastic and over the top, but like Crisis Core is a completely different level. There is they are working so hard to compete on a level of on the Sephiroth level, since you're Zack Fair and you're best friends with your boy Sephiroth and your boy Angeal and your boy Genesis, and all your boys are having this huge fracture over what is essentially reaching immortality, and they don't know how to handle it. And so as Zack, you're watching your peers fall apart and degrade and fall to pieces, and you're trying to like put all of this trauma together, while becoming a first rank soldier. And so it's a very tragic story. And that's kind of I think it's Tabata was the director of that. Tabata's most of his work is tragedies. Like that is his bread and butter. And Crisis Core is like, in one way, the peak of all of that, because after Crisis Core, Tabata only gets more subtle, and Crisis Core is anything but subtle.
Right. So this game is a kind of strange release, because it is a straight remake in the in between two of the three Final Fantasy VII remakes. That, I guess, slight spoilers here, are not straight remakes of original Final Fantasy VII. They are doing new things with the story. So it is this bizarre thing where it's like, how connected can this be to this new version of Final Fantasy VII? Like, this is connected to the original version for sure, but like, people are going to be playing, like, there is a large amount of people who are going to be playing this after playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, and then after that going into the second game and then the third game and just being like, wait, how? Huh? Because You know,
Yeah.
who knows if they're going to somehow adapt Crisis Core in the remake somehow. You know, there might be like a DLC where you just play through the events of Crisis Core again.
I fully believe there is some reason they needed Crisis Core to come out when they did. Because
I mean,
this is not a. There's a lot of bits of this game that are not polished. They put this out fast.
That is the interesting thing though, because like again, I haven't seen too much of this. I am interested in playing it eventually, but I did see a video where someone was pointing out like, yeah, there is so much of this that is still a PSP game. That just shifts into a modern game. Like specifically, it was like a cutscene of like Zack like doing like a jog out of a house, like a stilted jog, and then like 3 enemies like surrounding him and doing like canned animations, and then it immediately shifts over to the combat, and then it looks like a modern game and it plays like a modern game, and like the Zack is moving fluidly, the enemies are moving fluidly. It's just so funny seeing that like holdover of the time that this was like a smaller budget handheld game, because you know, like there are still games that have those kinds of animations today, but those are like your smaller JRPGs that, you know, they have to save money, and you know, maybe they were like originally Vita games or whatever, you know, that sort of thing. But now because it's Square fucking Enix with Final Fantasy VII, they're gonna put a little bit more money into it, but not enough money to like remake all the cutscenes.
Right.
You know, it's that kind of thing.
It's a special experience.
It's a bizarre, but like it's just a weird release. Like
they have this mini game still where you have to defuse missiles.
Okay.
And all of the missiles come directly at Zack. So he's standing there in a stance, like, I'm going to parry this missile. And it plays like a Sonic 06-esque minigame where you just wait for very slow missiles to come at you in like sword distance, and then you just slash them in half and they blow up. And then another one comes, and then another one comes. And it just like continues where you're just asking questions like, wait, are they bombing this city, or are they just throwing small missiles at me specifically? And you beat the minigame and you 100% it or whatever. It doesn't really matter how well or poorly you do at it. There's not even a fail state for it. I don't think there is. And if it is, you just reset the mission. But you come out of it, you're like, yep, all right, diffused all those bombs by chopping them in half. This is very extra. And you look, the like camera pans outwards, and it's like, damn, the city's been destroyed. No, I just diffused all these missiles. Nope. The city has been bombed to hell. And so it's very PSP. Like, if you remember PSP games like Peace Walker and stuff, like they tried to make this such a big thing, and then they would fill it also with like little weird mini games that were just to fill time, basically. And so all of those are still here and make for like a weird time box. And it's exactly like what you were saying, where people are looking at this like, how is this? There has to be something in here that's different, right? And the answer is pretty emphatically and importantly, no. Crisis Core FF7 Reunion has no answers for how you get to the ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like, they show Zack Fair at the very end of the remake, like, hey, I'm good. And you go, how? And Crisis Core does not answer that on purpose. There's almost no changes. There's a couple little things, and they all come at the very, very end of the whole game. And you could speculate on that meaning something later down the line, and it might or something, but like, not in a way that matters, not in a way that's like, hey, you have to play it for the ending or something.
Right.
I think to get a little more spoilery, but kind of more mechanically, there is one change to Reunion that I think is really important, that is cool on a thematic level. And that is at the halfway point, you get the Buster Sword. You get Cloud's big ass funny sword. It came from Zack, who got it from Angeal. And that's like, that is the emotional crux of the entire game. So he gets this sword that Angeal used to, his own mentor used to use, his idol. But Angeal never used it, is the thing. Angeal never used the Buster Sword because he's too cheap, is the line. If I use this Buster Sword, I'll have to repair it. I'll have to pay for repairs on it, and I don't want to do that. And so Angeal never used the sword. Zach gets the sword, and not only do you get it, but it actually changes the mechanics of how you play the game. So you, when you get the Buster Sword, they let you go into Buster Blade mode, which is basically Cloud's FF7R like battle kit. And now instead of having your big abilities, your black mage spells, your white mage spells, you now have like a full kit of just blade attacks that you can do that will defend you, that'll heal you up, they'll do the whole kit. And the problem is you have to gain affinity with this. You start at 0%, and you can either play the rest of the game without using the Buster Sword and just keep it at 0%, which is what we did because we had the materia for jump, and that is broken. That is just straight up. You can just jump through the entire game. So we did that, and that was fun. But if you use the Buster Sword, it also, like, once you have 15% affinity with the Buster Sword, you get like 50% defense on all attacks for just the rest of the game. It's like really broken stuff, but you have to do it. You get like 0.3% affinity with every battle or something. So they make it like this really weird, like you grind for really broken mechanics, and that's supposed to gain you affinity with the Buster Sword, which informs the player like, oh, okay, Zach learns this sword and then passes it down with all of this affinity to Cloud. That is a important change to the Crisis Core lore and Crisis Core game that I think is really cool. It says so much about Zach, about his attitude towards work. It says so much about the Buster Sword, like it makes it its own character for a little bit. And I thought that was really cool. And it was fun. Like you go into Buster Blade mode and you go, oh, now I'm a badass. Now I'm really a hero. Now I'm really soldier first class. And it says a lot about soldier first class because when you get to soldier first class, it's because you've worked really hard in all of these different departments. You're really good with your healing and your magic ability and your materia use. And then you could throw all of those out the door, which is just like real life, where you get the big job, you get the big promotion, and you don't have to do anything now. You just swing the stupid, overpowered sword. I don't know. I loved it. That part of things was something that really stuck with me, where it infers a lot, but it doesn't really matter. Not really. I just think it's really cool. It's something they really thought about. You know, there was extra thought put into that little piece specifically.
Mm-hmm. All right,
but yeah,
that's neat.
Ending of Crisis Core still whips ass. It goes so hard. Loveless is a wild ass play.
All right, Maverick, how about you? What's something you got up to?
Got through a lot. Just want to say, folks, we have it. The first $70 PSP game.
Well, $70 at launch because
finally it took so long, but we have been able to reach our zenith here.
Because God, there are some real expensive PSP games out there now.
Yeah, but now you can have this one at the comfort of your PS4.
Yeah, that's right.
Or 5 even. But no. So I think the immediate thing I can talk about is that I finished God of War Ragnarok right around the time that I was supposed to head out anyway. And so, honestly, yeah, no, I think like we had worked out our break before I had to head out. So I had the time to actually finish that up. And I gotta say, a really good game. Like, I think if there's a way that I could mark the journey that the series has overall, you know, God of War 1 through 3, everything residing around this Greek iteration of everyone's favorite violent individual, Kratos. It surrounds itself in this level of audacity that was just like very well known in the mid 2000s. You know, it's the energy that lends itself to your Gears of Wars, your Halos, your guns, your hatreds, and all this like revelry in the level of violence that you put out because, you know, Grand Theft Auto is selling, kids are swarming to your games because parents don't know better. And unless a GameStop employee is there to be like, oh, hey, here are the various things that are in this game, you know, they're not going to care. They're not going to say shit. And so that sort of energy, I think, overall hyped it up. And then you come to 2018 where, you know, not only is it a return to the series, a lot of these developers who are in their early 20s, maybe late 20s, have now basically gone through the process of, you know, growing up a little bit more, probably starting families, having this general shift as well into what exactly games can be, you know, post Jonathan Blow and Braid. This, as much as I, alongside Soldier Boy, will fucking like laugh at this fool, that is one of those like main, I would say, progenitors of this idea of games as art, which has already been the case, but you know, the way that the current quote unquote discourse around it surrounds itself. And so,
well, Braid and God of War both look at the, you know, roles of masculinity.
Yeah, but one of them's good, and then the other one's Braid.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, when you're looking at like the games as art crowd, it's like men have feelings.
Exactly, and it is not bad that we are exploring that. However, we do need to be able to expand that conversation. And I think that is the part that can fall on deaf ears about going like, okay, and 2018 was the part where it's like, man, Kratos has feelings, which were always there, but it's like you bury the lead about this guy trying to figure out his grief at the hands of the most cruelest of fate slingers, the Greek pantheon. Because truly a group of folk that love when something goes wrong and it's not on them until it is on them. They love the messy shit until they have to be a part of it. But,
Yep.
You know, you go through all of that, and then you have this story of not only is Kratos, you know, starting anew, and he's like regretful of everything, but he's also got to deal with a kid again. And how do you go about this? Oh my god, it's so herring, yada yada yada. God of War Ragnarok feels like a good step forward, if only because it looks at what they did in 2018 and says, all right, we still want to keep this energy, want to keep this vibe, but how do we expand it from just the exploration of like Kratos' character? How do we fill in more of the space? And how do we, in terms of like narratively speaking, you know, how many characters do we have around? Are we going to just do a retread of what we did the last series? Is it just going to be that bloody and hectic, or is it going to be a little bit different? And in the general sense, I mean, yes, we technically get there, but also it's a different kind of style. And there are a lot of things that I think come around to help this out. One is that, you know, this is actually helmed by a different director aside from Balrog. And so there are three things that had to happen for this game, but you can definitely tell that this isn't... If you knew that The Last of Us Part 2 was not directed by Neil Druckmann because he was ready to go off and do another thing, but this director still knew that he had a checklist of stuff to do, God of War Ragnarok feels that way, where you can tell that it's less trying to definitively create a name for the person behind it, or like the head person behind it, and it more so just feels like a game that actually merits the massive amount of dollars and manpower that was put into it. It still sucks that apparently not every single person was credited for what they should be credited for, especially when, this is a game where literally it does the same trick as its last iteration, where the credit sequence is essentially a playable moment. Like, you go through the process of seeing the credit sequence alongside just some free dialogue, free movement. It's a nice way to, like, not necessarily have it diegetically there, but to still keep you on the screen instead of just, pressing a button to skip it all. But that said, I really loved it. A bit of the behind the scenes. As soon as I finished it, we have a little docket for our upcoming Game of the Year stuff, and I sat down and I said, like, okay, what are things that I definitively want God of War to be considered for? And some of those I'm ready to be like, yeah, it feels good to play. The gameplay in general is fantastic. I know that it deviates a lot from the DMC styled character action platformer, but it makes up for that, I think, very well, and just being a solid action game all the same. At no point that I feel like, well, the frustration came more so in the way in which the fluidity of the animations makes it difficult to go about it in a character action way. Like, there is no canceling of animations the same way that you would be able to cancel a punch or a kick in, like, a DMC or a Bayonetta to then pivot that movement and go somewhere else. It is fluidity and following through that you have to keep in mind.
So you're buffering inputs instead into your move set, right? To get to the next chain.
So it's like, literally, I will go and do some attacks with the Leviathan Axe, and I know that if I want to switch to the Blades of Chaos, I am sitting there tapping on the next input.
Yep.
After that
Sweet.
next
I love that.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel cluttered. It's just a matter of, like, having to take those extra steps where it's like, okay, I know something's coming up, or I at least know what enemies I have in range. What's the stringer that I want to do now? And then let me just go into the next one and figure it out that way. And it carries its own specific rhythm that I think works out very well. The story itself, the biggest thing is that I just laughed more. Genuinely
any good moments?
Yeah, genuinely good moments. You could actually feel, not just that it was this big moment for Kratos in terms of, like, oh, we got to stop Ragnarok. Oh no, it's the end of the world. A good story that takes, like, its mythology, understands that it doesn't matter the actual, like, narrative plot points here. If those end up good, fine. Like, that ends up serving the greater cause. But what's really important is being able to hit the character moments. And truly, like, I can't think of a character that I outright disliked. There are characters that are very forgetful still, and I would say that there is still an issue in the way that the writing for the women in the games gets, flatter than what can be often there for the men. But key points there are that, one, I'm saying women, not just the singular woman in the game, because we actually do get multiple characters that we can look at, and, various forms of comic relief, various forms of, like, serious narrative focus. It is,
it's like more of an ensemble game, right? Because in the last God of War, it was very focused on Kratos and the boy, and Kratos. What's his wife's name?
It's Kratos, Atreus, Mimir, who is
the boy. Lemire.
Mimir is, like, the head that you have with you because it was, like, a god that was punished. Yep. And you learn a little bit more about that here as well.
But they pull the camera back for this one to, show you a couple more people, and you get to hang out with them more, right?
Yeah, and not only does it pull it back, it actually puts the camera in other spots. The secret that they, I think, did a pretty good job to keep on is that in some sections, you do just play as Atreus. There are sections of the game where you are controlling the boy, and I mean, again, like narratively speaking, like there's only one moment where Kratos is actively like boy or whatever, because it's like, you know, of the various themes that the game is going through, one of them, and I think it does good in highlighting this, where it's not just, man, I'm a dad, what are my dad feelings? It's more so there comes a point in every like parent-child relationship where we realize, oh, you are no longer a child, and the amount of like control I have on your life is going to wane, and the good result of that is I'm going to be okay with this and let you go off on and do what you are, whatever it is you're going to do. But I also have no idea how exactly to go about that.
Right. Yeah.
Like the realization, and
Kratos has to realize that Atreus is his own person and is going to be completely different from him and is an individual worth respect.
And you see it in like small ways where it's like, again, literally the use of boy, insignificant. Like,
awesome. That's so cool.
You also see the physical difference. Atreus being like this shitty little like 17-year-old, 18-year-old, or could even be as young, like Fimbulwinter is like a thing that lasts for like 3 years at the end of like the last game, and so there's a 3-year time skip. And so yeah, Atreus is like still young, but you can physically tell the difference. Like you see shots of 2018 and he is like a loaf of bread in comparison to like big lumbering Kratos, like lifting up a tree and getting that ready for the funeral pyre at the beginning of the game. Now it's like, all right, you know, I get up to your maybe like waist or chest, but it's still a presenting figure rather than just like so diminutive in contrast. And from that, you know, he's asking questions, he's trying to figure things out, because again, spoilers for 2018, but I feel like the material also makes it known. You know, it turns out, hey, he is the iteration of Loki for this version of the game. And so he's trying to figure out, you know, why do the giants, the dead race of people in the Nine Realms, like, why did they prophesize about him? What did they prophesize about him? What does he have a role to play in this next sequence of events now that they are facing the end of the world as, you know, foretold? And so you see a lot of uncertainty about the future, this idea of fate versus uncertainty. And I think it does a good job of trying to get to a theme on healing that isn't like the way that a lot of games and a lot of media nowadays look at like capital H healing. I look sad for a moment and then I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to keep going. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's so difficult to criticize material for trying to go that direction and to like name some of these things, but at the same time, it can get a little trite. And I feel like for a AAA, very mainstream representation of working through generational trauma, working through mental illness, working through just the things that you have to go through as a person nowadays, it does a better job than most. And I wouldn't have anticipated that from, you know, the game that started where you press circle to have sex with various unnamed women as a mini game.
Yeah.
It's weird to see like that development, but also, like I said, you know, it's not, what works is that it isn't 100% in that space of like, God, this is all serious, this is horrible. A lot of like the writing that I enjoyed comes from just traveling the overworld and seeing these conversations that the characters have with one another. Like, one of my favorite little bits is that there is a moment where Kratos and Atreus are traveling through one of the realms, and because of Fimbulwinter, each one has been affected like in their own different ways. Like, some places are a lot colder, other places have had a displacement in heat, so it might be more like humid or whatnot. And one of those spots, like, Atreus is just like, man, it's so heavy around here, I don't know how to say it. And then Kratos is like, oh, Igros. And Atreus is like, oh, what did you say? And he's like, oh, it's the Greek word for humid. And he's like, oh, that's neat. But it's like, it does so much in recognizing, like, one, oh, yeah, Kratos is Greek. He has an entire culture and past associated to him that, you know, is easy to forget when you just see him as this pasty white man. But there's at least more willingness to bring that up. Loki Atreus is known for his love of language, and so it's like a nice little way to like flesh that in, where like these are like the little things that he notices about his child, who he genuinely does care about and entertains. And I don't know, it's weird how just a focus on community, not entirely, and I hesitate to say like that's a major theme, but it definitely goes to show that ultimately, like, you can be someone that is very focused on your insular, like, interests, wants, needs, to the point where you mistake the power that you have as love and adoration. And you can go down that route and have no issues. But then ultimately what can beset you is whenever enough people who have said, hey, this sucks and I don't want to deal with this, come together to be able to ultimately say, yeah, no, this sucks and we're not going to deal with this anymore. The music's also good. Like, I love the implementation of the hurdy-gurdy. I think that was a piece kind of missing in that initial orchestration. And so Bear McCreary was just like, I got it. And it all just comes together.
Cool. That's cool. No, like, legit. I'm glad that they did something different with that concept and they built on it and made something that is a lot smarter than it would seem. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think like the biggest help is Corey Balrog just saying like, hey, I kind of don't want to take the reins on this one. Let me give it to someone else who is still has been there through the development of it, but like losing that level of like, you know, this could be my name maker, so to say, helps out a lot with just the way it does feel like multiple people in the room versus, you know, critically acclaimed television series The Last of Us, Part 1 of Part 2.
Yeah. Yep.
And again, that God of War show is happening. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say like it's not, but I at least have more respect for the way that Santa Monica Studio and the Sony team have been able to pull their resources for this in a way that doesn't feel forced. I don't think that show's going to be good, but I can at least sit there and be like, all right, the games, though, those are still solid.
It's such a bizarre thing to make a TV show out of, just because, like, I feel like you can't really have these God of War games without the past and, like, the growing up from the past that these had. But, like, are they just gonna make, like, a season of this show that is just the epic, edgy, meathead Kratos stuff, just so that way the next season could be, but actually we're smarter than that now?
I think they're starting from 2018.
Like, that's not gonna work anywhere near as well, because, yeah, like, there needs to be that history. Like, are they just gonna be like, well, Kratos did a bunch of bad things before he killed Zeus, and it's just like, all right, sure, you know, like, I don't know. You need that history to it. Very weird.
Yeah, I'm never gonna watch any of these like TV show drama games spin-off things.
No.
Like Last of Us. I'm not gonna watch a God of War. Now, if they made a God of War cartoon, though, if they made a Saturday morning cartoon out of God of War, I would be right there for it. I'm thinking a Hanna-Barbera type monster of the week.
I was thinking like how like during the 80s they would make all those like kid shows for movies that like, you know, like, oh, there's an alien show, RoboCop. Like,
God of War with the Christmas special where they all come around and there's like a talking horse or a winged stallion and it talks in a weird voice, and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, we need straight up Santa to appear and Kratos just being like, I learned a lot about Christmas this year.
Yes.
he just got done killing a bunch of Greek gods and all these other gods, and now he's just like,
oh yeah, he's dripping with blood. He's holding the head of like Thanatos or something.
No, it's the ice goblins that were stealing all the Christmas presents.
The true meaning of Christmas is, we must keep the Christ in Christmas until I decide that I have to go up to
kill Christ.
Yeah, biblical heaven and fight Yahweh.
Sometimes just got to do what you got to do.
I mean, here's the thing. There was that like story treatment where they were going to reveal that Kratos was one of the 3 wise men. In like, I think at the end of God of War 3 or whatever. So I think that's the real thing, is that maybe he would be a really big fan of Christmas, and no, he would be pissed that they like moved it to the winter. He'd be like, I was there. Christ was born in May. Like,
yeah, it was hot out. It was humid. We were in the desert.
Yeah, the Greek word for human. I was using that at that time.
It was Egros as shit.
That's what I'm saying.
God. Yeah, let's hit some news real quick. Let's go through some stuff here.
And then afterwards we get to the indie games?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes. Cool.
So we got Sony has announced they had like a, what was it? Was it CES? I think they were doing their presentation.
I don't know, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, wait, this was all with a big thing. No, I have no idea when they announced this, or like under what guise you make a tech announcement under.
Yeah, I think it was CES. It was some event recently.
I can't find it.
Yeah, they also announced like a car, and they showed like some PSVR 2 stuff, which like that's all too expensive for me. For all of us, this is not something that we care about. But something I think we can all care about is Sony has finally announced their accessibility controller. It's called Project Leonardo. Honestly, it's pretty interesting. Like, even just from a standpoint of as someone who is able to use a PS5 controller, this is just like a neat little device. It's so, from what I'm picking up, it's like these 2 circles, these 2 like I wouldn't call them spheres, but they're just like 2 like ovals.
They look like coasters almost.
Yeah.
Like table coasters.
They have all the buttons around, like all the way around it. So, you'll have like R3, R2, like, and apparently you can customize it however. So I guess you can like, probably like pop out the button and stick it somewhere else if you want it to be somewhere else. And then attached to those 2 coasters are just like, I think one of them is like a standard like arcade joystick, and then the other one looks like a thumbstick that you would use on a PlayStation controller. And again, because of how adjustable it is, I'm guessing that you could probably swap those out for if you want 2 joysticks, if you want 2 thumbsticks. You could figure that out.
I'm also seeing on those joysticks there's a little button that says lock, as in like lock the stick in place somewhere.
Yeah, or I don't know if maybe that's just the lock for to like lock it in place when you slide it in,
attaching it to the coaster. Sure.
Yeah. But they did say that this will have whatever options that you need. They want to work with people to get them the stuff that they need to play games. Yeah, it seems like it's completely adjustable. They worked with Able Gamers and some other accessibility groups, Special Effect and Stack Up, to work on this. They're saying that you could just basically have it work however you want it to work. So that's neat. Like it's always good to see these kinds of controllers coming out, because the Xbox controller opened up a lot of options. The adaptive controller opened up a lot of options for folks who normally would not be able to use an Xbox controller. And now this controller will let people play PlayStation 5. Hopefully Nintendo does that in the future, so you can have all 3 of the major consoles covered.
Yeah, I'm looking at this controller. I'm like, yeah, I would not need fingers to use this controller. This would rock.
Yeah.
This looks really I could play with this with my feet. I could play with this with all sorts of ways. It seems really helpful.
Absolutely. I mean, even just someone who can use a PS5 controller normally, like, geez, this is just like a cool looking device, even like just to be like, yeah, you know what? If I want to just like this is like a mech setup almost. Like I just want to grab these sticks and go to town. Like it's just a cool looking controller. So we're not keeping anybody from the style too. Like we need. It's about substance, but it's also about style too. So we don't want anyone playing with any lame-o adaptive controllers. We want cool ones too. So this is a cool one.
If it were the 90s, there would be an ad for this that would be like they take a DualSense controller and then they like cartoon smash it.
Yeah.
And it comes, and then when they lift up the big mallet, it shows these controllers. And I think they look so neat. It also looks like a Lego project, basically. So you can play around with all of it. I'm like, ooh, I really want to deconstruct what I know about these controllers that I use for all these video games I play. It's so exciting looking.
For sure. Let's see, what can we talk about next here? So another small one here. So we got yet another Square Enix New Year's letter, and the president of Square Enix, Yosuke Matsuda, has once again just been like, hey guys, NFTs are still cool, and no, especially now. Like last year, I'm not going to say it was smart or good to push NFTs in video games, but it was perhaps understandable to come to that conclusion and think, maybe this is something that we could lean into. But a whole year later, after the crypto has crashed exponentially, no major companies have had a successful NFT integration into their games. Square Enix is here to say, yeah, we're going to keep digging that hole, and we're just going to lay in it and not even try to dig up at all. It's a very strange way to look at this. Like, there's a Forbes article. Let me take a couple of like quotes here from the letter. Like, he says, following the excitement and exhilaration that surrounded NFTs and metaverse in 2021, 2022 was a year of great validity in the blockchain.
Yeah, volatility is the word that he uses.
Volatility, in the blockchain related space. Yeah, no, It just wasn't good. However, if this proves to have been a step in a process that leads to creation of rules and a more transparent business environment, it will definitely have been for the good of the growth of blockchain entertainment. Yeah, again, it crashed.
We will persevere past this.
No, it won't.
It's amazing because this letter now has happened 2 years in a row. And I mean, Matsuda's he's done these year-end letters that are just, it's him. It's just him. And so it's almost a little too easy to wave it away this year even more and be like, all right, Square Enix is a professional company full of professionals, and their president is just a weirdo. Yeah. Because all of last year, we saw their NFT projects. We saw their blockchain, their Web3. They've got a game that's coming out that's like a new IP, but nobody's gonna be in on that shit. It's a new IP from Square Enix. That's not what they do. And likewise, they're not putting any of this into Final Fantasy XIV or any of their mainstay like franchises because they know better. There are people inside of the company who know better, who want their games to succeed and know that if they add all of this blockchain stuff into it, it will not. It will struggle. It will have bad times will come of that. So it's like, it's really funny seeing this happen again this year and being like, oh, Matsuda, you idealistic fool.
you gotta imagine that there's a bunch of people working there that's being like, yeah, here's all the NFT stuff we're gonna put into our game, and then they just like lean over and they're just like, none of this is getting put in the game. Let's just show this to him so he shuts up.
Yep. Yep.
Like, oh yeah, here's this Cloud Strife NFT you can get in Final Fantasy 14, and then they're just like, no, this is just the wind up toy we're putting in there. It's fine. We're not. It's just we're gonna make more money in a normal way. We're just gonna sell it normal, and then we can tell him that it's an NFT, so he shuts up.
That's what Yoshi P did at the beginning of 2022. Was he literally said, "No, we are not. This is not touching FF14. This isn't touching any of my games." And it's like, wait, your games are now Final Fantasy 16. Then I guess we're fine.
Yeah, I mean, people have their issues with Yoshi P, but I will, like, at the very least, he was just like, yeah, no, I'm not doing any of this NFT shit. Shut up. So yeah, it's still weird. So weird. So weird that they're still pushing this shit. And then one last small story here. Masahiro Sakurai gave an interview to Den Faminko Gamer, where he just talked a little bit about his videos, because he's got that YouTube channel, talked about how the process of creating there, where he's got like a full crew working on them. He records his own video, but then he sends it off to get edited and then translated. Like 8.4 is doing the translation, which is why they're so good. Just there's some interesting stuff. So I would say definitely look into reading that interview, or there's actually like a roundup bit that Push Dustin did on Twitter if you want to look into that. But probably the biggest thing that he mentions, though, is that he considers himself to be semi-retired from video games. Development, at least. He says that with Smash Ultimate, as well as the other Smash games beforehand, 3DS and Wii U, it was 9 years of development, like pretty much straight.
Yep.
And he says that if he is to continuously do that, he basically just says he will die. Like, he's just like, yeah, no, I do not want to, like, it says his life will be over before he realizes it.
Yeah, if he does another 9-year dev cycle, then he'll be 61. He's just doing the math on this, like,
yeah.
Oh, then I've got like 20 years left. And so, yeah, it's, makes sense.
So yeah, so he wants to use his YouTube channel to like pass on his knowledge to the next generation. He wants to do that while he's still able. He says that he wants it to be an archive. He wants it to be, he says it'll be the next milestone in his life.
And wow, yeah, that I have been watching that YouTube channel pretty religiously, and it's awesome. Just 3-minute sound bites on game design and design practices. It's so fun.
Mm-hmm. So a couple of other just fun things he mentioned too. So he did say that he finished Sonic Frontiers, Bayonetta 3, and God of War Ragnarok while riding his exercise bike. So he's out there riding an exercise bike every day.
Sakurai getting stronger, building power.
The other thing that I want to mention, though, is that he has a manga set up in his bed.
Yeah,
which
he does.
Is just he has an iPad that he has attached to like an arm that is attached to like the head of his bed. So he just swings it over to look at it, and then he has like a ball mouse that he uses to scroll through the book.
That's genius. Yes, that is exactly what. Yep.
He just lays in bed reading manga. He says that he just finished 7 Deadly Sins. That is his most recent manga read. So he says that he waits for compilations. He's not like keeping up weekly. He waits for the volumes to come out. So
yep.
God bless. What a fucking baller way to read through manga.
That is the semi-retirement life that we can all dream of.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he hasn't like, completely ruled out doing more game development in the future.
He's still gonna make a Kirby.
Maybe. I mean, honestly, the thing that I could see him doing is I could see him just like making some sort of indie game. Like I could see him just like doing something kind of like a Meteos, maybe, or maybe he will make a Kirby, but it'll be a smaller Kirby game, not like a Forgotten Land kind of thing, but something that...
Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly what I mean.
Something that feels like the original Kirby's, or like at the most something like Superstar, like
he's going to come back and play Cave Story again, and then he's going to hit the end of Cave Story and just say, shit.
I should do this too again. Fuck.
He's going to play one of these games that just inspires him in a way where it's like, well, fine. I'll just write one game design document, okay? Nothing more.
Now I'm developing. Fuck.
We'll just make the prototype. We'll just make the prototype. We'll just prototype it out. It's gonna suck. It'll be fine.
All right.
No, it's a good way to look at it. It is fucked up that he is about as old as my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's what is it? Sakurai, my dad, and a majority of the Wu-Tang Clan are all just in their 50s, which in hindsight is wild to think about in terms of just the amount of shit that they've gotten in while still, for the most part, relatively young.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're still, 51, 52. That's not that old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then it also just depends on like the work that you do and like thinking about, okay, when I no longer am able to continuously do this shit, I gotta have a means to, keep myself at least buoyant. Yeah, that's an understandable thing. Like it's just always weird to think about that there is sort of just like this shift at the moment. And some people are taking it much better than others, I would say, when it comes to allowing that shift to occur.
I'm trying to imagine Sakurai going home and becoming a family man, and it's very hard. Family man to his cat and his plants that he loves very much.
I mean, yeah, he's got his wife, but it is
become a wife guy, Sakurai wife guy.
Okay, now hold up. That bed does not look like it supported two people.
No. I mean, look, I fully believe that. I mean, look, I don't know Sakurai's home life, but I can just so clearly imagine him just like laying in bed with the brightness all the way up, reading fucking like Chainsaw Man or whatever, and his wife just being like, "You got to figure something out about this. I cannot sleep."
Yeah, fair enough. It's in the spare room that they have.
Exactly. He's just like, this is my manga dome. This is where I conk out after I read 3 volumes of fucking Dragon Ball Super or whatever. I don't know. He didn't say what else he reads. I'm just choosing random shonen,
He's in his
I guess.
50th reread of like a Osamu Tezuka manga.
Fucking
or like 20th
sure.
Century Boys or whatever.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, we need the Sakurai manga rundown because he's been pretty open about what games he plays. Like, like I still can't get over when he did like an interview or something like right after starting his YouTube channel and he shouted out fucking needy streamer overdose. Just like, or needy girl overdose, needy streamer overload, however it is. And I was just like, bro, that's wild. I'm proud. Like I have a because I did recently get a raise at work. It hasn't kicked in fully yet because I still need to get my first paycheck with it. But I have like a Play Asia order ready for when I do get paid. And one of them is fucking needy girl overdose because to import it just because Sakurai shouted it out. I was like, okay, if Sakurai likes this game, I trust his judgment. I'm gonna order this. So, video games, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm just so happy to see Sakurai still like the most modest guy in his manga dome. I would assume his manga dome, the Sakurai manga dome, would be like this big VR setup or something, where he reads like 5 manga at once.
No, he definitely feels like he's like a man of the people. He seems like a very normal dude. Like he is. Like, he's definitely extremely talented, and he's really smart about video games, but, like, the fact that he is sitting there and being like, okay, I have made games for a really long time, I want to help people break into that and do their own thing, and I want to see what the future holds for other game developers. Like, that's super awesome. That's super inspiring. Like, he doesn't want to just pass this on to like the big wigs, you know, like he could very easily have just been like, oh, I'll go to Nintendo and do talks there or whatever. Like, no, he wants everyone to be able to make this, like, whether it's Japanese devs or English devs. And like, I'm sure that, you know, if he had the time and money to, or, you know, all the different resources to translate it into different languages, he would. But I'm sure that there's people out there who are doing translations of those videos into other languages, and I bet that would tickle him pink. Like, he just wants to see the art form grow, and that is super inspiring. Like, he's just a cool dude from what it seems, you know? Like, yeah, good work.
The often case alternative for like auteur creators is that they go to like a think tank or something. They go to some kind of privatized classroom setting to train or to mentor very specific groups of people. But that's awesome to see it in this way.
Yeah, because I actually read Reggie Fils-Aimé's book recently, and like, that was an interesting enough read. Like, some of it I kind of almost didn't believe, because he full on like takes like full claim of like a lot of stuff, like of like packing Wii Sports in with the Wii, and like a lot of other stuff. Like, he was like, oh, I was telling them to lower the price on the 3DS the whole time, like all that stuff, you know. He takes a lot of claims. But the one thing at the end that was really interesting, that like I guess kind of mirrors the Sakurai thing, is that, you know, after retiring, he did go to like a bunch of colleges to try to do some teaching, and like there's a New York like a game design course that is fairly open, you know. Like, he specifically mentions that like it's not just like for rich kids or anything like that. He said that there were like a bunch of kids, because like he was raised in the Bronx, and so, you know, he talked about how inspiring it was to see kids that came from like marginalized places like he did, and he was hoping that they would be able to, you know, reach the levels that he did as well. And like, that's nice, but then at the same time, you just think, like, I could never imagine Reggie just doing like YouTube videos like Sakurai does, you know? Like, Sakurai, like Reggie very much is like, yeah, I want to inspire people who, you know, I know can become quote unquote disruptors. Like, he keeps using the term disruptor throughout the entire book.
Disruptors?
Because
he's in Glass Onion now.
Yeah, exactly. He's a business dude. He's like, I came in and I shook it up. But like, you know, Sakurai is very much just like, I want people to look at these fundamentals, and I want them to build upon them, and I want them to make things, and I want to see those things. I want to play those games. And that's super inspiring.
That's all the time I have. I'm finna stomp you out now with my Tim, straight up.
But yeah, let's talk about some of these, I guess, smaller games here. So, Solon, yeah, what are some of the indies that you have gotten into recently?
I mean, yeah, so we've been doing all this roundup for Game of the Year, which usually around December time means, and especially getting into January, is like, well, I want to clean up games that are that do not take a long time to finish, right? So I go look immediately at my indie games and like, all right, what's coming out right now? What's hitting the shelves? What can I do that'll only take like, you know, 10, 15 hours or less? So I picked up Super Lesbian Animal RPG, which is a wild name for a game, and it's been in my it's been in my scope for like, I think Bobby Schroeder's been making it for like 8 years, I want to say. And so I've seen, you know, screenshots over the last 4 or 5 years for this game, and the entire time, like, yeah, this will be cool. I'm glad this is happening. It came out, and wow, it is very hot. It is way higher production value, higher like level of expertise than I was not only expecting out of what is a, you know, relatively small team, but also out of RPG Maker. The system that they used to put this game together is definitely powerful enough to carry this, but nobody ever can really get to that point because it is very hard to do that. and they it's really, really good. All the pieces are there for a fantastic RPG, as in the graphics are great, the writing is witty, it's clean, it's fun, exciting. The subject matter is all about finding yourself and supporting your friends and all the like kind of main themes that you'd expect, but coming from a voice that is very down to earth. So in a lot of RPGs, you're just like blatantly, you're the hero, you are going to do the thing and it's going to go well. In SLARPG, we've been kind of calling it, which is a great acronym. In SLARPGA, you are not a hero. You are a healer who wants to become an adventurer because her friends are becoming adventurers, and she kind of wants to support them, but also knows that she's an individual who deserves her own space too. And so there's this constant tension between wanting to love and support your partner with all of your heart, but knowing that if you love and support your partner with all of your heart, does that diminish you in some way? Does that make you lesser, right? And so the entire time, Melody is your main character. She is like, I will be the healer. I will support you. I'm such a great support. And the entire time, the girls are checking in, like, hey, you're not just support. You're Melody. You're a person. You don't have to just play the support character. Do you need anything? Do you want anything? And then the more times she finds herself shrinking back away from that, there's a part of her that's screaming out. That's like, no, I need a voice. I need to find out what that is that drives me. What is the thing that pushes me that isn't just other people, right? What makes Melody Melody? And so that's the crux of the entire game. And it's fucking cool. All of the enemies that you fight are delightful and darling. And then as you get deeper in the game, they get like really fucked up and weird looking. So it starts out like super cutesy and like, oh, we're gonna beat up crabs on the beach. All the crabs have wizard hats. That's great. And then you get into the first dungeon and you have to fight a rip in space time, and you go, oh, okay, this is a little different than I was expecting. They have so much communication between other games like Earthbound and Yume Nikki, and probably those two most directly, that like they rip those band-aids off, the RPG Maker band-aids, like immediately, so that they can actually have greater conversation with RPGs down the line.
Okay.
I'm 2.5 out of 4 acts into this game, and it's just hitting all of the beats perfectly. The battle system is cool because you are centered on the healer, and they do this really good job with their healer as the main character being like, all right, you're going to manage everybody's resources with this one character. So if you do everything right, if you play your turns out right, you end up actually wanting like random battles to go a little longer so that you can get enough power to hit the big MP restore ability. So there's like this push and pull through every battle where you're like, all right, is this a battle that's going to take one turn and I'm just going to stomp it? Or is it going to take 4 or 5 turns so that I can get enough to revive and reheal everybody and make sure I end this battle with full resources for the next battle? They do really great for that. The momentum that you do during these fights is just solid. And you constantly get lots of items and abilities that change your whole toolkits. So you have your like main class, and then you kind of have your off class that you can change via spell books at any time. And so between your main character, the healer, your girlfriend who's the fighter, you've got this just very dramatic what's her name? I'm forgetting all the characters' names. You get this cowgirl, she's the mage. Big badass tiger lady who's the knight, who's like the tank of everything. You can have them all play those roles, or you can kind of mix and match with all of the off classes to get them to do different things. So I've got this strong Tiger Girl Knight class who doesn't have a lot of mana, but I can give her the like stop and haste type abilities that I'm just going to use at the beginning of the round's first turn. And it doesn't use enough mana to totally wash her out, but it works perfectly. It works great. And if other people have been like, oh, I didn't use that at all, I gave her the like the Mechomancer ability so that she can just fling items at people all the time. And I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense too. There's like no wrong way to play this game. The RPG system is shockingly strong. And the main story is fucking great. The world is in a disaster place, and it's mostly your fault. You accidentally tore a little space-time, and a whole bunch of people come out of the space-time rift, and they're like, oh, what a great planet this is. I want it. And you have to fix it all before everyone else finds out that you did it.
Wow, okay. God forbid that femmes do anything at all.
Yep. There's so much of that energy inside of the game. It's been awesome. Super Lesbian Animal RPG is just ridiculously fun and has so much polish to it. Like, they have after the first dungeon, they're like, hey, the nice librarian mouse girl, she's gonna give you a bestiary, and you're like, well, all right, I'm going to read full bestiary entries of every monster that I fought because, I mean, why not? It's fun. They have like conversations during the bestiary writing section. They'll have like discourse. Be like, this isn't even a bird. You don't even have eyes. What are you talking about? It's kind of a bird though. Like it's silly. Great fun, great voice. And strong influence. It's very much a must play for any indie RPG fans.
Mm-hmm. That's good to hear. I was looking at it, and it's like, it's very easy for me to say, I don't know if I am in the demographic for Super Lesbian Animal RPG, knowing what my demographics are. But in particular, though, my main hesitation towards SLARPG comes from the fact that I have not played nearly any like Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest that are like locked to the like NES in particular. And I feel like that is the disconnect I can often feel with some of these iterations that often go for like anything out of RPG Maker. I feel immediately leans into that aesthetic and into that style. And so we'll make references off of that. And I sometimes feel bad thinking like, this is kind of whatever. Not because I feel like it's necessarily lesser, but it's like I'm just not missing, or I'm missing the reference point. And I know it's like, as someone that does love JRPGs, it's like, these are my vegetable games. I know that a lot of them are going to be fun, but it's like, if you told me to sit down and say like, load up an emulator, go play Dragon Quest 1 and 2, and take care of those, I'll be like, all right, I'll do it. But, with everything else that is more immediately stimulating to me, it's like, I know. So I might get to it.
I can highly recommend SLARPG to people who haven't played all of those RPGs, because it takes some like reference from certain games, but you in no way need to play any of those games to understand this one. In fact, it's very smart with its RPG design in that it puts all of the modern niceties, the accessibility niceties into this game, like having monsters on the overworld that are roaming so that if you don't want to do a fight, you can just walk around them. And it even does it's this really good thing where the monsters, they don't aggro to you, but if you get close to them, they'll kind of like chase you. They'll give you like a little jump towards you, which doesn't mean that you can like easily opt out of every fight, but you can like kind of maneuver it in a way that's fun. And that's something that's just like very well thought out. This tiny little action between this push and pull, this risk and reward, just that happens on the main screens, it's so easy to pick up. The inspirations are really cool. The first dungeon is Earthbound. Like they just straight up are like, yeah, we're doing Earthbound Endgame Dungeon 1. Great, awesome. Second dungeon is very Legend of Zelda Link to the Past inspired, but only on a very like surface level kind of thing. And it's got me really excited to see the other two levels, to see like what retro games they're going to kind of reference. It's not like it's a core part of the thing to get these references, but like it just gives it so much life. It feels like there's so much love for other games inside of this game.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a game about love. Like, the first move that you get, the most important move of the whole game, is that you kiss your girlfriend, and it gives them a tasteful 15% up to all their stats for 4 turns. These are like perfect numbers. These are just like, oh yeah, you thought so much about this. You moved this up to 20, down to 10. You found 15 was the right percent. 4 turns, perfect, excellent. Also, it's a free action. It's like a free move. So you almost always want it to be your first move, so that you then generate enough star power to spend on your future turns. It's so well thought out. These like core game loops are just, they're so sticky.
Yeah,
Genius
yeah.
RPG
All these
stuff.
games gotta have kiss girlfriend button out here reminding me I stack no paper.
Maverick, instead of stacking paper, I guess, what other smaller games, I suppose, I don't know if some of these are super small, but what are some of the other games that you've been playing?
Yeah, I mean, like, I took the holidays a good way to, and even now, just this past week, is a way to, like, spread myself out with a few other games. Another definitive finish was NORCO, and I really enjoyed the experience there. You know, a story about someone returning to their home in NORCO, Louisiana, after the death of their mother, after a time just sort of out exploring the other parts of this alternate reality of the United States, where, you know, there is a lot more conflict, a lot more deep-rooted capitalistic decay is the best way that I would describe it. And really just, I think what it does well is that it's an adventure game about having to come back to a place you haven't been to in a while, recognizing the stuff that's still there at the core, but then also recognizing what fundamentally has changed and how those changes not just affect you, but affect the people around you and your family. And a lot of that I really just enjoyed and appreciated. Like, of course, I do not come from the South or any iteration of the South. I'm not even going to pretend that I understand it at that level, but I do like playing this while I was back home with my parents was at least a interesting iteration of just like recognizing, like, yeah, each time that I'm back here, the only reasons that I come back are because, you know, my parents still live here. We have some family that's still out here, but my actual attachment to the town that I grew up in has diminished significantly. Proud to still be from there, but I know that, like, there's nothing really pulling me in, even as, you know, my former teachers now turning into, like, peers in a way are like, hey, you know, you could always teach, you could always come back and, like, take care of that. And it's like, maybe that's there in the future, but that's also a temporary version of myself. This temporary, like, recognition of everything, I think, is the very core of NORCO, or at least one of the story elements, and recognizing essentially that nothing truly lasts forever, even in this idea of like a technological infinity. Recognize that even that has limits, or like even that can be corroded in a way that no one could anticipate. And it really just left me a lot to think about, and I really appreciated having something so insular, but at the same time, like, still plenty of laughs to be had, a lot of humor to be found, like a fantastic moment that I did not anticipate at all, but really just added to this character that you find later on where, ultimately is an asshole, but it's also the realization that sometimes you do just associate with assholes because it's better to do so than to just like be by yourself. And I really came out appreciating it ultimately. Similar to that was Pentiment, which I started, and I definitely am not in a space like really talk on it too much, but I'm curious about what it's going for. You're ultimately this artisan who is visiting the town of Tassing, located near the Holy Roman Empire, and you're tasked with creating this masterwork for a nearby lord. And I'm sort of in the process of seeing where this is going to lead to. I have an idea of where it's supposed to go, but I'm still working towards that, and it's been interesting. Like that one is definitely in love with the application of language, the application of history, and in a way is very nestled in the idea of the way history from a personal sense, from the populace like connection of towns over time, and it's interested in like the way those layers come together ultimately, recognizing that the land that we are currently on, I think more and more we hear it nowadays where it's like there's a recognition of land as where like a majority of the United States, if not all of it, is just stuff that has been built upon stolen land from indigenous communities and indigenous people, and recognizing that what we currently are like residing on was originally something else that was forcibly taken from. Here is something similar, but also recognizing that a lot of those sediments are more closely related, especially at the time that it is setting itself, where it's like, post Roman Empire, but not yet at a point where industrialization has just cemented the nation states that we currently know. And so, Italy does exist, France does exist, but then you also have enough relation to, Roman culture that it's not necessarily a ancient focus so much as it is a chance to study a system that was, for the time, viable. And it's an interesting way to like look at that level of history. I've been really curious to delve deeper into it, especially as more elements get thrown in, but I'm also looking at it where, so having played NORCO, getting through Pentiment, and also having played Citizen Sleeper, those are like three different flavors of a narrative where, again, I talked about this a little bit with Rose, but it's like, I feel so weird as like the minority of people that managed to win Citizen Sleeper, and that ruined my experience over. Not like ruined, but it's like the role play that I allowed myself to get into of shit is tough and it is pressing day by day to get through stopped being viable when I realized that I have more than enough money to do the things that I needed to each day.
Right.
And that wasn't even
I
like...
fully agree. That happened with me too.
And it's like, that just happens by accident. I didn't even attempt to get into that space. And
I accidentally built a comfortable life in Citizen Sleeper.
Yeah, and it's like, I was okay to allow myself, wherever the dice land, I will allow it, but it kind of just worked its way back around to like, wow, I'm sure happy that and again, to reflect on like where I was at, it's like, I'm happy that my robot gets to have, this comfortable life. Boy, let me go search up more jobs right now since I just got fired.
Yeah.
Weird disconnect. And then here, NORCO and Pentiment, I feel, have this similar through line of just like understanding that the next, like whatever is next is going to be heavy. It may not be ideal for you. It might even just outright suck, but there is still a necessity to understand the steps that got you there. And even if it ends in your own demise, that'll be vital information for somebody else in the future. It's an interesting way to look at sort of like a continuation and the way that history can often paint itself for folks. And so I'm curious to see where Pentiment lands and whether or not that'll be similar to my feelings on NORCO. The last thing
it's
that
a gorgeous game. Pentiment is unbelievably cool. I watched a stream of it for like maybe 7 or 8 minutes, like very short amount of time. And it was immediately like resonant, like, oh, they are doing important things with language here. This has an incredible text system where people's words will like change in the text box to like mask their real meaning. It's very magical, just from a game that is so simple in its scope. It allows itself to do so many cool things that are like, wow, I've never seen a game do that before. Oh, okay. We're going to go really deep into language today, huh? Fantastic stuff.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll note on this little leg is that, figuring out like what else came out, what else could I talk on? Spark the Electric Jester 3 came out, and
yeah, you gotta play that.
I played like a little bit of it, because here's the thing. I have heard like fuck all about Spark the Electric Jester. The only times I hear about it are in the context where people are like, oh dude, if you wanted Sonic Adventure 3 or whatever, this is it. This is like the Sonic killer, like recommended in that way where it has to be negative on its source or on its inspiration. And it's like, as a guy that loves Sonic as a concept, I'm like, that's not going to sell me. But
yeah,
eventually I went ahead and said, fuck it. Like, the entire trilogy is on sale. Let me go pick it up and see what it's about. Spark 1 is more of like a Sonic Advance inspired game, which is fine, but that's not necessarily what I'm about. Spark 2 is the developer, I want to say it's Freud Games. I don't have it on the top of my head, but Brazilian-based studio where Spark 2 immediately is finishing off the events of Spark 1, and actually instead of playing as the titular, Electric Jester, homie graduated college, couldn't find a job, so he did a street performing stuff. That's how he got the hat. It's all there in the lore. You don't have to worry too much. But it's actually about the robot lookalike that Spark ends up having called Fark, and you're sort of just playing the story of Fark and seeing how that goes. And that, honestly, for like the first step into 3D platforming, was a surprising advancement of the system and the way that it presents its ideas, where it's like, you're a Sonic adventure, but you also have power-ups and different like moves that you could also pick up along the way. You can focus on speed. You can also do like some action platforming. It's wanting to design itself in a way that allows for both, and Spark feels like a good foundation. The little bit I played with Spark 3 so far feels like it builds on that as well, and I'm eager to get back to it. I can't speak on it fully, and by the next time I would say that I am able to, it might be for Game of the Year, just with everything else on my docket. But that is easily a game that, if I had to think about stuff that is like certified juice in my game, that would have been a missed gem for sure.
Oh, good. I've heard so many good things about Spark, and seeing that the third entry has like, taken it to the level that everyone wanted to see it at in the first place. There's a like A side, B side of furry indie games right now between Spark the Electric Jester and Freedom Planet 2 also coming out this year.
Yeah, and I think it recognized, like, for me at least, recognize like I am not necessarily needing a follow-up to 2D Sonic, but
yeah,
by the time that I got through Spark 3, I was like, oh wow, yeah, like even with Spark 2, I'm like, this is Sonic Adventure but more, and it's good to know that that does exist.
Yes. No, that's exactly right. Is like just knowing that there are people who are, making these games that are like, yes, the games that we've been wanting to see from bigger companies that we aren't seeing. Well, people are making those. They're real. They exist and they rock. I had the exact same thing with Lunistice that I just played. And it has an A-side, B-side also for low poly 3D platformers called Tori 3D. And Tori 3D is like $1. You should play it. It's really important. It is probably the most stripped down 3D platformer you could possibly find. And so if you've ever wanted to, see what the bones of a game look like, that game is great for it. And then Lunistice takes it to the next level and makes this gorgeous game with beautiful sound, and it's been really nice to see like there are people that are making these games and not trying to make it be like this big, huge, overwhelming, like, oh, I have made Sonic Adventure 3. I have made the Super Mario world that I needed to see in the world. No, it's like they just made a game. This is what their game looks like. You could take it or leave it, and if you take it, you're going to have a really good time. Tori is an hour long. Lunistice is like 3 hours long, unabashedly. And then if you want to play it again, they'll give you a bunch of like extra ways to play it after you've beaten it to keep playing it if you want. It's really cool. And just those are all the games, Maverick, you totally hit on that. Like, to clean up Game of the Year stuff, I didn't want to miss these smaller, like shorter kinds of games that have a lot of juice in them.
Yep. And yeah, I just want to make sure, because I do have other stuff that I have to get through and like right on that I still need to make myself do so. But in the middle of that, like, I do just want to give these other games like the space to breathe. Like, I haven't even touched Tunic at all.
Oh God, yeah. Oh,
and that might be one that I just touch for the sake of like having familiarity with it. I booted up a little bit of Neon White just to feel like, okay, what is the feel? Let me come back to this with mouse and keyboard and see if that.
Yes,
it's close with controller, but mouse and keyboard might be the key. I've been getting back into Vampire Survivors just because that's been so easy to like boot up as I'm like catching up on other stuff.
Yeah, that game's drugs.
Yeah. No, that's just your first hit, and you never stop.
I've stayed far away from Vampire Survivors just because I know. I know.
Yeah.
I downloaded the mobile version of Vampire Survivors, and that's fun to mess around with when you're like at work or whatever. Just like boop, 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 you're good.
Yeah, it's solid. I realize that I'm not as big of a mobile gamer nowadays, and even then where it's like, I like, literally I just have my like DualShock set, and it's like I can just pick it up and swing around my nice little joystick. It's easy.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's do these bigger pieces of news real quick, and then we can wrap it up with our VN, the visual novel update. So,
oh yes,
yeah. First off, here, this is involving Dungeons and Dragons, but I guess it will kind of like tumble down to the rest of, well, everything, I suppose. There was a document that came out, the D&D Open Gaming License, that talks about how Dungeons and Dragons can be used for creators, could be have competition, etc., etc. Basically making it incredibly different for and incredibly more difficult to have anything like this, like any kind of like spin-off sort of things. Like, it seems like that Wizards of the Coast is going to be trying to like pick up stuff like Pathfinder to like, stamp out some competition. And it seems like it's going to be way more difficult for folks who do stuff like like a actual play podcast and things like that. I think they're gonna have to be like sending a cut of their funds to Wizards.
That's so weird.
This all matches a lot of stuff that Hasbro and Wizards have been doing for their other products. Like, you know, the only other stuff that I really know about is Magic the Gathering, and I feel legit really bad for Magic players because that game is just overrun with new cards, like incredibly so. Like I think I saw them say something along the lines of like, yeah, they add, like, you know, there's a lot of Magic the Gathering cards, but they added like I think like 20% of the amount of Magic cards ever just in the past year or something like that.
Jesus.
Like it was a lot. They added like I think like 200 new commanders for the commander game type. Just fucking crazy. You know, it just seems like Wizards and Hasbro are just being extremely money grubbing, extremely like over creating their stuff, their product. You know, it just it's fucked up.
I'm seeing this quote from the updated license that says, "It only allows for creation of role-playing games and supplements in printed media and static electronic file formats. It does not allow for anything else, including but not limited to things like videos, virtual tabletops, or VTT campaigns, computer games, novels, apps, graphic novels, music, songs, dances, and pantomimes. You may engage in these activities only to the extent allowed under the Wizards of the Coast fan content policy or separately agreed between parties. No dances.
Clown's shoes content here. Clown's shoes.
Staggering.
One point that it does say that Wizards of the Coast is expecting these things to have resistance, and quote, "We will receive community pushback and bad PR, and we're more than open to being convinced that we made a wrong decision." So,
but is
sure.
Hasbro?
Well, they're the same thing, you know. They're under the same. They're under the same banner. It's just, I don't know. It's very controlling. It's very stifling, and I don't know. I'm hoping that they walk this back. I'm hoping that there's some form of flip side to all this, and I'm also hoping the Magic the Gathering fans get a fucking break. Just in general, I mean, they're like, I don't know. A lot of this is just such a mess. Because I also saw like Jason Schreier reported that that there were like a few unannounced like D&D games or just games based on Wizards of the Coast franchises. Like maybe it was a Magic the Gathering game, I don't know, but those all just got shuttered, and because they're trying to save money, which is crazy because they're making so much money. Like, where is this money going? And I mean, you know, obviously it's going to the people up top, but like, what's going on still that you're like downsizing and all this? Just bizarre.
Yeah,
bizarre.
Why now when you're before this, I would have said D&D as a corporation, they're at the top of their game.
Yeah.
And so seeing that they also agree they're at the top of their game so much that they're going to tighten down grips on their licensing is like, oh, you are at the top of your game, you motherfuckers. You greedy pieces of shit. Mm-hmm. This affects D&D, this affects Pathfinder, this affects like so many of these groups, all the way down to most any content creators that are working in the WotC mines, people who are just playing games, people who are just running D&D. God, all of this is specifically pointed at Critical Role.
Yeah,
like they're not mincing words that they have a tier for people who have made licensed works based on D&D that have generated at least $750,000 in revenue in a given year. that puts you at the expert tier of revenue tiers for this new license agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get a specific cut of the royalties. And it's like, oh, geez. That also affects the Kickstarters, Kickstarters that have been working with the license. If they, garner more than $750,000, that's a whole other thing. Yeah, it's bizarre. So now I guess we're going to see Kickstarters that are specifically at that tier, specifically at $800,000 so that they can get to the expert tier and have their licensing royalties applied more gregariously than if they were a smaller work, so that they can pay WotC less. God, what? It's business.
Yep. And but on the flip side of the business news, here's some good news. Some good news. The ZeniMax QA department, which are the folks who are doing QA for your big Bethesda games, your Fallouts, your Dooms, your Elder Scrolls, etc., voted on creating a union, and the vote passed. So they have formed their union. And Microsoft has already said that they recognize it. So no hand-wringing, no arguments there. Just union voted on, recognized.
Awesome. So, we did it. Awesome. So, fantastic.
Great. Not anything.
That rules.
Yeah, not too much else to say about it per se. Like,
there's nothing else to say about it. Yeah, it's just great news.
That's the nice thing here. Like, we're just like, yeah, this is just good. Their union exists, and it's recognized, and they're gonna start working on their they said that they're gonna be doing. They have like an online portal that folks can work through, or they can just sign a card or whatever, and now they'll start organizing and getting their stuff ready to go, and working with Microsoft to have everyone covered and healthy and paid correctly.
Yep. Knowing that ZeniMax is ZeniMax is such an interesting company for this too. From what I understand, this is the largest tech union. Like straight up
300
because of the number of
300 people.
It's 300 people, and that makes it the largest tech union by sheer volume. And seeing that they got accepted is like, oh, now they're the biggest accepted union. They're legit. And like, of ZeniMax of all places, this is Fallout, Doom, Bethesda's whole line. The people that we always they get the butt of a lot of jokes for the quality assurance in those games. They deserve a big union. They deserve to have all of the niceties that come with it, and there's still a lot of work to come. Like, this is a huge win, but like now you are the boots on the ground for all QAs everywhere to see, like, okay, can a unionized QA thrive and succeed, and can they turn around better games because of it? So it's really exciting, and that we've gotten this far is such a huge win. With unions in the industry.
Very nice, very nice. All right, let's hit the VN segment here, because
are we talking visual novels?
Yeah, we are. The only game that I've been playing is AI, the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative.
Oh, you've been reading?
I've been reading.
Let's go.
I think I'm almost done with it, but also, God, I wish I was done with it already.
You're looking at the long ending, and you're like, oh, come on.
So I don't dislike this game, but I absolutely think the first one is better, at least so far.
Yes.
I just think that this game is a bit too long in the tooth. I think a lot of the new characters are completely unnecessary. Like, I know it seems weird to be like, oh, they're adding this new flavor to this game, they're adding a new character. How is that a bad thing? Well, I'm just going to tell you about where I'm at in the game right now, and I'll be, I don't even need to be to beat around the bush because this character has nothing to do with anything. So it's
this game came
stupid.
out in like February or whatever.
That too.
Last year. Yeah, you're good.
So there's this guy that like is very suddenly thrust into the story named Lien, who they're all just like, oh, he is like one of Date's old buddies, you know, he knows Date, you know, he's cool, he's fine. He immediately falls in love with this new girl that they introduce in this game too, named Kazuna, who also barely has anything to do with anything, is just there. So now there's just like this extra layer of just, he has nothing to do with anything, and now they've introduced him into the story, he has nothing to do with anything on top of having nothing to do with anything.
It is inside of this very complex game. There's like a D plot between the two of them. It's the princess and the pauper. They don't shy away from it. They constantly talk about Cinderella during it. Mm-hmm. It is this himbo and this rich girl
that hates pores.
Yeah.
And he loves her so much, is head over heels, and she doesn't really know how to feel about him. And this is all on the side of a cosmic horror ballet murder scene scenario.
So
of a dude just having a really bad day.
So
yeah, like one of the worst
having a really bad day
imagine.
For 6 years.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever. It's kind of ignorable. But again, I'm near the end of the game, or at least it feels like it. And so they had basically finally confessed their true feelings to each other, and they're like, yes, no, I do love you. Let us officially date. We will be together.
And I'll run away from my rich dad and the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Yes. The next day in game, they do the dad doesn't approve of it, so she turns him down, and he tries to get paid off. And the thing is that his backstory is he used to be a thief, and he knows how to lockpick. And so the story just sets up this contrivance where you have to go into this specific entrance to get to the secret area, and it's covered with locks. And so now that
there's 50 locks on the entrance.
Yeah. And then they broke up. So now he's too sad to want to break locks again. So now you have to do a whole Somnium with him to figure it all. Like, it's so contrived. Like, it's just like, dude, like call a locksmith. You could just use the fucking yellow pages. Call someone else. It does not have to be him. Like, literally, just get someone else to help you.
Can't do it.
No, you have to have him do it.
He's the master of unlocking. He clearly says it like multiple times.
He says it multiple times. And it's just like, I feel like this game just has, it's padded a bit too much. And I was talking to Rose about this game too, and it's also really apparent that somebody in the grand scheme of things, maybe some higher up, maybe it was Uchikoshi or some of the other writing staff or whatever, someone just went, Mizuki can't carry this game. Which is 100% not true. Like, she absolutely could. And so the first half of the game is Ryuki, who is another character who comes out of nowhere, but I think they do a better job of integrating him into the plot. But the way that he acts, the way that his character develops, and then also how he is integrated into Mizuki's route, everything about him feels like he should have just been a side character that goes along with how things are going. Like, they wanted to set up the 6 years ago thing, but then they were like, oh, Mizuki was too young, and we don't want it to just be Date again, so we gotta come up with a new guy, and then in the future, Mizuki will come in and take care of things. And, like, I don't know, I think they just should have kept Date. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't have just played as Date in the first half and then Mizuki in the second half. Like, this new guy
it's really tricky.
This new guy could have been an interesting side character, especially with, like, how he plays off of Date. Like, he's got a fucking huge crush on Date. And it's fun to watch him just, like, stumble over himself and try so hard to, like, follow in Date's footsteps. And I wish he was just like a side character. I wish he was another Abyss detective just trying to help solve the case, yada, yada, yada. And it was just because Date is still there. he's just off doing his own shit, and like he'll pop up here and there and just be like, oh, I was also doing this, and it's just like,
Yeah.
why am I not playing as you? Like, you're doing the same thing I am, but you're a better character. Like, it's just it's so bizarre. I don't know.
On paper, it makes sense that Ryuki is a foil to Mizuki. Mizuki, who is extremely competent, great at everything, is acrobatic, has superhuman strength. Ryuki is extremely weak, doesn't have anything going for him, has a weird access to a lot of money, I guess, and drives in a limo. Like his ride from place to place, instead of being a modest motorcycle, is a limousine that he hangs out with Tama in.
It's really weird because, like, no, I wouldn't say that he seems like he's rich. It's just the only thing is that, yeah, his car is a limo for some reason. And it's just like, I mean, it kind of fits Tama because she seems like she's like, oh, I mean, like, her whole thing is that she's like a dominatrix, but she's, you know, like her sitting there in that limo next to the mini bar, like it fits how she looks. But
right.
Like Ryuki is just like, I don't know, I'm sitting here in my limo, like, you know, I feel like the way he is how I would react to being in a limo, is just like, I don't know what to do with myself. This is too much for me.
On top of all of that, Mizuki is a straight shooter. Ryuki is a completely unreliable narrator through all of this. He's got some weird plot disease. He speaks in garbled characters sometimes. It's bizarre. And there's no explaining it until they finally explain it.
Yeah, he's got some really bad mental issues, and like
he gets the worst of everything.
It's done interesting. Like don't
it's
get
so
it wrong.
Fascinating, but for 20 hours?
Yeah, no, it's
just a little long in the tooth. There's no other way around it. It's even when you'll see at the end, it's incredible how this all wraps up. But
and there's so many parts in this game, like especially in the Ryuki section. They trim it in the Mizuki section, but in the Ryuki section, there's so many parts in this game where they give you the list of places to go, and you're going to all these different places and talking to people, meeting up with people, and they give you no new information whatsoever. And there's not even like a fun character interaction to get you through it. Like, you will just show up to somewhere and like Ota will be standing there, and you'll walk up and you'll be like, hey Ota, do you have anything new to tell me? And he'll just be like, nope, see you later. Like, it's just there's so many scenes that are just that.
Yeah It's a complicated part of AI Nirvana being a little too smart for itself in a way.
They could have trimmed like 10 hours from this game, and I think it would have been 100% better.
Their way of getting around knowing that, like, okay, this game is way too smart for itself. Their way of getting around that is, we'll put a bunch of dumb stuff in here too, and it'll help pace out all of the stuff we're about to hit you with. It doesn't actually pace it out.
It doesn't.
You have a long period of time where you're just like, what are we doing? What is the point of all of this? Oh, the point was that there was no point, that it was just nice. It was a nice way to seal up some D plot or E plot, or this little thread over here is nice and laced up. And then we're going to get to the big parts.
Some of the
and we get to the big parts, and they just dump it on. They're like, all right, big time now. Here's everything that you need to know. And now we'll go back to having a nice time where we tie up the F plot and the G plot. It's an incredibly bizarre game.
Like, there are fun characters that I enjoy. Like, I like Gen's arc. Like, I really like Gen, especially.
Oh my god, Gen is
yeah. He's my new favorite character, like new character for sure. But yeah, then there are like a lot of the returning characters also feel like they're returning just so you could be like, oh, I remember them, especially once they do the time skip. You could be like, oh wow, Ota's got a bunch of hair now. Iris is wearing like a fur jacket for some reason. Oh wow, they're new character designs. Isn't that crazy? But they don't really add too much to anything. Like, again, like Iris has a whole Somnium that is like one of the more fun Somniums, but at the end of it, I was just kind of like, why did this have to
why
be
did we
Iris?
do that?
What does Iris have to do? Like again, like the story just had Iris just so happened to show up somewhere, so that way you needed to do a Somnium so you can get one bit of information from her.
100%. Yep.
And like even again, like my other favorite Somnium was Gen's, and like his like, you know, again, they wrap up his plot nicely, and I liked doing that. I liked seeing that plot go through. But then the only reason why you do a Somnium with him is because he decided to hide a single piece of evidence for like no reason. It's just there's so much of the story is contrivance after contrivance after contrivance, and it just dilutes everything about the game overall. When like I think about how the first game tied everyone's routes together and how more natural it felt, where it was like, yeah, you get like you interact with Mizuki because she is the daughter of the victim. You interact with Iris because she works for the company that the suspect works for. You know, Ota is the fan of Iris. Like there is this like natural progression, but now it's just like, oh yeah, Iris has this like crew of girls that she hangs out with, and then there's this random dude who falls in love with one of them, and then here's a guy who works for a restaurant they like, and it's just like it's getting so just you're stretching way too much. Like this like group of individuals has spread too far out, and it doesn't feel like I need to be interacting with these people anymore. They are just so far out from where I'm interacting with. Again, like Shoma and Komeiji, they feel natural because they are more a part of what happened. Like when the murder took place, Komeiji was the host of the show that you're on. So interacting with him and like having him be involved with the story, and then his son also being involved with the story, makes sense.
Yep.
It just there's just like they could have cut like 2 or 3 of the characters and like 10 hours from this game, and it would have been a way better, way tighter experience. And like that sucks to say, because like again, I don't really hate. Like I would say that I don't like Liam. Like I don't like him. But like otherwise, I don't really hate any of the other characters. Like I'm fine with their inclusion, but like if Gen wasn't in this game, it wouldn't be that different. You know, like I still like him. It is good that he's in the game, but also if he wasn't in the game, his role could have been filled extremely easily with anyone else almost. Like it's bizarre. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, I could tell you're going to get to the end of this and you're just going to scream. It's not going to get better. Okay. It's not going to get worse. You're just going to scream. Because at the end of the day, you're in Uchikoshi's world. And unlike a lot of his other games, this one is chained to a linear narrative. Like you've seen it this whole way. That's the weirdest part of this, is that there's no like directions that are fraying off that give you new insights into characters and turn them in weird ways. No, all of the characters have to stay in line. They have to be the same character for an entire narrative with no way to get out of that. And that's not like the other games. That's AI Somnium Files, the original, is fun because you have all these like threaded like directions where characters radically change. Where Boss is like evil and fucked up. And so you get to see different aspects of them. And you don't get to see that here. Leon is Leon. He's the master of unlocking. He's a himbo. He doesn't know shit about shit. And he is frustrating to work with at all times. There's no like offsetting narrative where he gets to become the mastermind. Which gives you a more insight into him and also makes you wish that he was a himbo again. You know, you don't get that release. You get Leon, who is Leon.
I still like it. It's definitely, but like the way that I said it is like original AI is like a solid 4 out of 5, and this is just like a 3 out of 5. Like it's still decent. I'm so glad that it exists, but
oh man, AI the original is one of my games of all time.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'd say that I like am super happy that it exists. I'm fine with it existing. I'm like, all right, sure, it's there. I played it, whatever. You know, it's just there. Fine.
Yep. Push through it. It's worth it. And you're gonna scream.
Yeah, but we'll see how I feel. Maverick, on the other hand, though, you played one of the VNs of all time, and you may proceed in talking about it.
House and Fata Morgana party stays running 2012 to no end in sight for the goated game of all
the
time.
Year 2022.
Straight up, I have to like the same way Rose did it. I have to like include in my list like the top games that I played that weren't the House and Fata Morgana.
Oh man.
No, and I feel like, I have to, well, like I say this, I'm the other person that has come up and said like, hey, this is the best game I've ever played. This is the best story I've ever experienced. Oh my God, so amazing. Go play. I literally have bought this game for 2 other friends of mine, specifically with the intent of just like, I want you to experience this on your own. I'm not going to tell you shit about what's going on because I need you to get through this game. And it just continues to be that case. And like, literally my other progression through everything else I have to do for Game of the Year has halted because I want to finish the House and Fata Morgana and just let myself like feel the entirety of that narrative weight. Because the last time that I talked about it at all on the podcast, I think I mentioned that I was at the third door, and my assumption was that I would have been near the end of the entire story. And I think that was an episode that Rose was on, and she was audibly like, oh, you wait. And so glad that I, in wanting to get through it again, just like got through that part and was like, wow, this is really neat. And then just continues. The story is not over after that third door. There is so much there for you to experience as the player and to really just settle into. And oh my God, the ways in which, a lot of these other games that I talk about are a lot about this focus on like user interactivity, and sometimes it is difficult at points, I think, for people to consider visual novels and like sound novels as games, but at the same time, I think it is the most like it's hard to describe at times because there is that level of like interactivity or connectivity that you can feel, but in a way it's still present because of the presentation, the focus on the way that the information that is conveyed is specifically being like interacted with, presented, and just like thought about in terms of like, how am I gonna divvy up this narrative? And I don't think it would work as just a straight up like manuscript. If I tried to sit here and think about a third person approach or like a strictly first person approach to this novel, or to I don't think it would be as compelling. It needs the visual audio components. It needs the one-on-one pacing that you have that like divides it from just being a show. Because God forbid I would even want any sort of like, the most that I would ask for of any sort of like adaptation for the House and Fata Morgana specifically would be a stage play. One that takes into account the way the perspective is utilized. And that is another component that is so particular that it's like, I would need to see like multiple breakdowns of the process to convey it. Like it is so purely a video game for the fact that it cannot be anything else. And it's hard for me to think about a video game that really exists in that space entirely. And it's like, there's so many games where it's like, oh, you could try and like, I mean, so many games right now are being adapted into movies, TV shows, and whatnot. And there's at least a through line that like there's something there to present a narrative and to at least allow for some sort of exploration. Some things excel at that. You look at Sonic, overall has succeeded for his ability just to become like a multimedia like icon. The Mario movie is going to be coming out. Like all of these other iterations of video games as narrative, and to dilute that narrative for another medium. That is near impossible to do with the House of Fata Morgana, just because of the fact that everything is so tight and presented in a way that, like, it had to be me literally pressing the spacebar or scrolling down to the next section for parts of these narratives to truly just have that experience of like full on sobbing at like 1 a.m. because of the events that I had just learned about. That I needed to provide those pauses, those moments for the stuff that's already in there, like built in, to convey itself in the way that I wanted. And
wow, yeah.
And it's so particular that I have to talk about it. It's like, I'm not even discussing what happens after the third door. Like, you will not hear any sort of discussion of the narrative. Like, honestly, I will wait for more people in Chooch to get through it so that we could actually have like a definitive roundtable just to sort of discuss, like a full-on book club at that point. But like, it's so interesting to me, and that's what sort of has made me like so gung-ho about it, in terms of the fact that, like, not only is it a good visual novel, it is a good video game. Like I said, just because of the fact that it's so hard to try and think of this entire package in any other medium.
Wow. Yeah. No, you fully hit the head on this one, because I did a little live streaming of House of Fata Morgana, of the opening, which is great. Those first 4 hours, that's great to live stream. I will not stream any more of that game. That is not how that game's meant to be played. Even just that slight change in operating the visual novel is too much for how you should be playing House of Fata Morgana.
No, like I again, like I'm thinking about it, or it's like I might, like, if I have a friend that like wants to potentially stream it, I honestly will step in and be like, hey, there's a way to go about it. And I think,
and I've racked my head on this, because like there's ways to perform visual novels that are great. Like people doing the roundtable Danganronpa voice act alouds. That's always really fun. Let's playing House of Fata Morgana, totally viable, possible, but still gonna be weird, because you're now provoking the game to a proverbial audience, as opposed to being the audience for the game. Like, you as the player of House of Fata Morgana, you are like the Greek chorus, in so much that your input into this game is pressing the spacebar, is clicking the next text. And that interaction is so vital to this game. That's how the prose is read. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, like if I really had to think about it, it's like I said, I would script it as a full-on like theatrical performance, like essentially doing a radio play, and any sort of like outside interaction from like the chat, you ignore it until you decide like where that act ends, and then break it down from there without giving away anything that's going to come up next. That's the only way I could see it in terms of like a true preservation of the experience. Because like right now there is actually a VTuber over in like Niji Sanji who has been starting to play through it, the Switch and like PS4 version, so it's got like a few more bells and whistles to it. And ultimately, like, I'm glad that there are people out there that are showing this game and at least providing some experience to it. But yeah, like, ultimately, I am surprised that not as many people are just saying, hey, go play this. Like, genuinely, if you have never heard anything about this game before and are curious about it, one, there is a Does the Dog Die page associated for this game, because as you get through it, there is a lot of content that can be triggering, that can be very extreme, but also like it weaves it in because it is going for something that is so earned as a result of the focus. Like, I have not finished the game yet, and I'm so eager to see how it ends, because I feel like whereas, Citizen Sleeper went on this narrative of despair and turmoil and trying to like survive through community, and I kind of just accidentally went into my capital is the thing that helps me persevere the most. I don't really care about the people that are on board because I just have my money by accident. That's how I landed there. NORCO, Pentiment, I feel, are getting to this idea that community is viable. Community is part of the like ecosystem of wherever it is that you live and wherever it is that you exist. But ultimately, the ways in which community have affected the area geographically, socioculturally, those will leave bigger marks, and the ultimate result may not be as satisfactory to what you might have wanted. I am really eager for this to just... The House in Fata Morgana is truly just like the visual novel about the indomitable human spirit, and it is like I am just feeling the anticipation to get to that point. And like I will have no other notes. I actively have to keep this game from my game of the year list, just because, like, again, from the beginning, I knew it was going to be a game that I loved, and I'm so glad that it's just hitting every mark so far.
Mm-hmm.
The only, like, the real tragedy is just that you happen to play it in December.
Yeah.
During this time where you're playing all of these other games too.
Exactly. And it's like, nah, hold up, everybody. I still got to get to this.
Yeah, everyone stop. I'm playing House in Fata Morgana. And we're all like, no, he's playing House in Fata Morgana. We have to stop. You're almost there.
I am. I can't even finish it after this because I got to go to a concert tonight.
So, not allowed to be like a light novel. You're not allowed to be a spin-off into like some kind of CD audiobook. It has to be a stage play. You're thinking like a 6-hour Wagner-esque epic, the Fata Morgana cycles with big bombastic presentation and set pieces and a whole house. Do they have to build the house for this thing to work?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. Are you kidding me? You have to have
the house.
You have to have the house. It is a key figure. It is another character, but also I think part of it is that adaptation, like ultimately with any adaptation, you cut down on a lot of the prose.
Yeah.
And
yep.
Part of it is that like you would want the physicality of the mansion because that is what a lot of that prose conveys. And that is so essential to the overall aesthetic. And so if you don't have the detail there, you'd have to be very particular about just the way in which the mansion presents itself. But then alongside that, a lot of these conversations, yeah, like they are, like, they would be condensed based on the back and forth of the people that you end up casting and whatnot. Well, but even then, it's like there's one piece to it all. And I'll talk about this, like, after the podcast, just in order to, like, at least convey where I'm coming from with it. But everybody go play the House in Fata Morgana.
All right. It's on. It's probably not going to be the next game that I play, but I think it's going to be the game after that, because I want to finish AI, and then I want to take a VN break, and then I'll read Fata Morgana.
I think that's a good way to do it.
Because I did also download a bunch of, like, well, okay, I did acquire and am in the process of updating some files for Fate Stay Night, the original. There's, like, new fan translations and stuff like that, so I want to do that too soon, probably sometime this year, but that'll be, again, after Fata Morgana after I play something else too. I want to do VN something else, VN something else. I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, well, that'll do it for all that. We do have questions, so again, if you want to send in a question, go to videogamechoochoo.tumblr.com/ask. You'll sound like these folks right here. First off, this is a question, but no, it's just something that's just a goddamn truth. Anonymous just says, "Why is Solon so handsome?"
What? Aw. Thanks. I got to be handsome on TV on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Really?
It was really cool.
A lot of folks loved it.
I was on AEW's. AEW was in Seattle, and so I had seats that were very, very close to ringside. And
okay.
Because of that, I ended up getting a bunch of messages from people like, "Hey, I think I just saw your hair on TV." And I was like, "Yeah, I just high-fived all the wrestlers. It's the best day of my life. I fist bumped Sting."
Oh yeah,
it's fucked up. I got a fist bump freaking Sting.
That's cool. The Stinger. Yeah,
the Stinger. Yeah. Thank you, Anonymous.
And Cello Buster asks us, "Call your shots now. What is going to be Game of the Year 2023?"
The House on Fata Morgana.
I mean, it's been doing good so far. I don't know why it would stop, you know? It's been kind of on a run.
It's like the Jeb meme, just like Fata Morgana.
You have your arms outstretched. Behind you is the house.
Yeah, it's just Morgana, like, doing the pose. But, I mean, there's, like, the three, I guess, that people are saying. It's, like, Spider-Man, Zelda, and Starfield, right?
Oh,
Those
wow,
are, like,
that's dire.
three. Yeah, I mean...
I'm like, those are all the least interesting games to me. Incredible. They
yeah,
really nailed
I'm gonna guess it's Zelda. I'm gonna guess Tears of the Kingdom's gonna be like not our Game of the Year, but like the overall gaming space Game of the Year. For us, I have no fucking idea. I'm not gonna.
They've got to change a lot about that game if they want it to hit off in a big way again. If it's anything as similar as the first Breath of the Wild, people are gonna be like, "Wow, another empty world. You did it again." I think people will turn on that in a big way.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. People are weird.
People are weird. I get it. No, I'm giving that part of things space too, but I'm saying they have to really change up some of the formula if they want to, which I'm sure they will. So I'm not like denying them that. I'm just saying that if it's the same formula as Breath of the Wild and it's 2, people are gonna have thoughts already going into that game.
Guess we'll find out. All right. And anything else before we wrap this bad boy up?
Oh man, I'm so mad at Cello Buster. I'm still thinking about Game of the Year 2022. You want a third? There's another one?
Yeah, that's why I'm trying not to overthink it, just because like if I start to think about next year Game of the Year right now, I will my brain will shut down. So I don't want to think about it.
I'm trying to think of what the future of games will be like, and I'm like, if they're gonna do like Tori 4D, it's gonna be the greatest game ever. This little tiny bug that jumps up and down.
Street Fighter 6 looks cool.
Street Fighter 6 does look cool, actually. That might be something worth getting into. I've never considered playing any fighting games, but that one looks kind of sick.
Yeah.
Looks accessible too. I think I can do it.
All right, well, that will do it for the show. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Let's run down where people can find us first here. Maverick, go ahead and tell us where people can find you. Oh, he said BRB. I misread. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he said he was going to have to leave.
You can be
soon.
Maverick.
Okay. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, so
you don't want to do a little Maverick voice? I'll do a little Maverick voice.
I don't want to fuck it up and then have Maverick hear this and be like, "John, you made me sound like a clown man." I don't want to do that.
I think I've done it twice on the podcast already, actually.
Well, look, here.
And he did that to me both times.
So look, okay, if you want to find us, we're at videogamechoochoo.com. It's the website. Twitter at VGCC is our Twitter, Tumblr, videogamechoochoo.tumblr.com, Facebook.com/videogamechoochoo, YouTube.com/videogamechoochoo, and Twitch.tv/VGChoochoo. Those are all the different social media and otherwise places you can find us. To keep up with the posts and the videos, etc., etc. We have our Patreon, patreon.com/VGCC. Just go there, give us $3 a month, get access to stuff like our anime podcast a whole week early, and then also a couple of extra things that will only be there. We're still working on figuring out more stuff for that. Hopefully with the site redesign that's coming, that'll be something that will be more relevant more often. You have a Discord, thegamezone.zone. Type that into your web browser and it'll bring you straight there. Come hang out with us. Keep up with what's going on. Give us some input. We'd love to hear input about what's going on, what you think we should do. It'll help us make stuff if you tell us what kind of stuff you think would be cool from us. And thank you to Melt/Magic Circuit for a theme song Crush off of the album Magic is Real. If you want to listen to more of their stuff, it's meltchannel.bandcamp.com or magic-circuit.bandcamp.com. The Bandcamp Friday did pass already, but next month, there you go. That's a good time to hop on their music. Solon, where can people find you?
Hey, you can find me at ChorbySP. I stream on Twitch. I play little tweets on Twitter, and I'm on Discord. Just go to @ChorbySP, and you'll find all of my stuff.
Good. Maverick, are you here, or shall I just read your Twitter at? Okay, he's not here.
Hey, I'm good. I'm Maverick. Wait, let me do a Maverick voice. Hey, I'm Maverick. You can find me on Twitter at Mavsplania. That's MAVSPLANIA. And I've promised as Maverick to tweet about every time that I cried during the House of Fata Morgana as I finish it. I will be finishing it as this podcast comes out, and I will live tweet my reaction to it. And that's a Maverick promise.
I think he has full legal rights to kick your ass now. No.
But I gave him the sexy voice. He can't kick my ass.
I know.
He could kick my ass, actually, very easily.
And I'm JOHN_MICHONSKI on Twitter. And that'll do it. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Video Game Choo Choo podcast. So long.